Hi everyone. So I'm going to talk to you about I recently read the Epic of Gilgamesh, and it's I don't know if you guys heard about it, but it's the oldest stories. I think it is the oldest story. Well, a lot of people say this, so you could do your research. Maybe there's somebody who's like, the Hindus it's older. The Epic of Gilgamesh is around the same time that we know of the Hindus. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's older than Judaism, right? But I just want to talk to it. Maybe I want to talk about it maybe for like 7 minutes, because I don't want to talk about the whole book, because the whole book is very good. You should read the whole book. I'll probably put a link. You can hear the audio version of it. But I just want to talk about one part in particular that a lot of people. It's in the beginning, so you don't have to like wait until the end. You know. It's funny when you buy a book that's used, the first couple of pages are like marked extremely well, highlighted definitions, and then as you go towards the middle, it has some here and there, but you can see the person kind of like, damn, this book is long. And then towards the end, it probably has one or two or barely anything. I think the person's just like, fuck it, I'm glad I read it. It's very rare that puts in that marks the whole book from beginning to end. You know, I've had I found some books like that were marked from beginning to end, and I felt like I was meeting a person. You know, I was like, wow, this person is cool. I always wanted to be part of a book club. So maybe this is like a virtual one or something. But maybe if you know something more about the Epic of Gilgamesh, you could send me some links or something. You know, I like learning from people. But so I'll tell you this. Okay. So in the Epic of Gilgamesh, see, I have to give you guys a primer, because a lot of people, like, I know there's people who know about it, there's people who don't. So I want people who don't know about it to know a little bit about it, enough to understand what I'm going to talk to you about. So this is for the people who don't know. And for the people who do know, maybe you could, like, if I see something wrong, you go write in the comments, say you were wrong, and I'll see and I grow, and thank you. You know, I appreciate your feedback, you know. If you disagree, yeah, I appreciate that too. And if you agree, yeah, it's even better. Watch my other videos, right? I really appreciate that. But you can watch my first one when I was in South Africa. That's pretty cool. I was thinking about re-uploading it, because it was like, because, you know, you could see, I could show you my receipts. You know, I actually traveled, so I'm not just making these stories up. But so the Epic of Gilgamesh, ADHD coming back. All right. So in the Epic of Gilgamesh, there's Gilgamesh, right? I think that's his name. His mother is one of his parents is God, and the other one is like human, right? So in the story, Gilgamesh was a king, and the thing about when we think about heroes now in our society, heroes are covered in like Disney idea of what a hero is, right? Or something. If you think of a main character, he has to have like pure light in him, you know, because this is the kind of world we live in. You know, we can't imagine a character that's complex, that does evil acts, but yet he's the main person in the story. So I mean, that's the other thing why I have to there's people who don't realize that. There are people who don't realize, like, hey, maybe Mickey Mouse is evil. Maybe he did some evil shit, and then when the camera's on, he does all the good stuff, you know? Maybe that person you really hated, you just caught him on a bad day, you know? And that's why I have to, because you're going to hear videos talking shit about Gilgamesh. Oh, look at that. He raped people. See? And that's really tough. You can't argue against that. But what I can tell you is that he's a complex being. Read the story, and you'll still learn, right? I feel like if you try to forget the past by knocking down its monuments, that you want to erase the underlying idea behind it. What will work is conversation, right? And then with much time, because, you know, the wound takes time to heal. You know, the scar, the whoop, right? The whoop across your back, it's quick, boom, you know. But you see, time is different for each entity, right? For humans, we live in our average 85 to 76 years, right? For dogs, it's here 15 years. You know, a turtle, lifelong companion, about 90 years. You know, maybe I'll live you give it to your children. You know, but yeah. So in terms of a nation, you know, it's gonna take a long time for those wounds to heal. You know, we're in the beginning stages of it, because right now I'm seeing something that's very like, oh my God, this is actually happening. They just say that what happened in the 60s, it's completely different than what's happening now. And yeah, I don't want to walk that line. I just rather keep it in the middle, right? So the Epic of Gilgamesh. The Epic of Gilgamesh. So look, the people prayed to God. And when they prayed to God, God sent someone to Earth. And that person was named Enkidu. See, Enkidu was viewed as his... so there's Gilgamesh and Enkidu, right? So Gilgamesh will be... I don't know if you've ever seen... you ever seen like Mario, the video game, right? Gilgamesh is Mario. And Enkidu is Luigi, right? And then, see, because God heard the cries of the people in Uruk. I think that's here, Uruk. I don't know, Samaria. I'm not an expert in this shit. Somebody was like, oh, you said it wrong. It's the wrong city. Like, I don't know, Samaria. Or one of those cities, man. Babylon. I don't know, man. I'm not an expert of these things. Maybe I could get a video. You could read it. You could read the book. Read the audiobook, right? Don't just, you know, when I was younger, I hated the Bible. And they just say, you know what? Let me read it. You know? Because I think the Spanish came here and they didn't read the Bible. They just used their swords, right? And I fucking hated Europe, you know? Because of the shit that... They didn't do... It's complicated. Maybe I'm walking down the wrong line I don't want to walk. I want to do the Epic of Gilgamesh. But maybe this is a little important too. Man, I went past that in a minute. This is going to be a little longer one. 15. All right. So, it kind of connects. You know, you read these stories and they're individual. There's a story, but I feel like it's somehow connected to our society. Like it's still the living scripture. You know, it's dead when nobody remembers. You know, and there are a lot of dead scriptures. Don't get me wrong. Look at that one from Crate. There's a writing, linear A, I think. They know, and linear B they don't. So you could look that up. But it would be cool to know what linear A says, or it would be cool to read that scripture from India that is older than the Sanskrit writing. So like maybe they will say something pretty interesting about how we thought about society and stuff. You know, the ancient people, man, we have to give them more credit than we do, right? But I digress. Okay, so Enkidu, so God, so remember Gilgamesh was half God, half human, right? I think he was something to the they broke it down by math. He was 2/3 God and 1/3 human. So that means that he had divine powers, but he was mortal, right? So a God has divine powers and they're immortal. They live for a incredibly long time, you know? That's why suns are immortal, because even though they live billions of years, they're not infinite. So, but they morph into something completely unique. Black holes, right? I like stars. All right. I digress. What was I trying to tell you? Okay. See, hey man, maybe I got to work on writing stuff down, because I'm just going off the top of my head. And when I write it down, I have like a linear path I could see visually with my eyes. But right now, I'm just walking and talking, so that my brain is like, it's a little bit looking around me, you know, and a little bit talking to you. Okay. So Epic of Gilgamesh, because I really want to. I think you should read it, and I think I don't hear many people making these commentaries, so I would like to contribute my perception on this ancient scripture, you know? Okay, let's do it. So Enoch was sent by the I think the Shemesh, or one of those gods from see, I'm not an expert in these things. There's people out there I wish they were here talking with me, because they would just tell me on the spot and I wouldn't have to just put it in the description. So I'm just, whatever I don't know, I'm just putting it in the description, guys. I don't want to keep doing that. So so that one of the main god for Sumerian pantheon will be he sent Enoch to send a balance because Gilgamesh was he was a competent character who was doing much good and he was doing much bad, and God wanted to balance that, right? Because you need a balance, and you think it's good to stop the wolves from eating all the hares, but then we realize that the wolves were controlling the population of the hares, and the hares ate too much grass, and just, I feel me, that things are complicated. There's a balance, right? The wolf needs to eat occasionally a hare, and the hare cannot reproduces really quickly, so just trying to not to make things Disney anymore, like just to make it a little bit more human. But not that Disney is bad, it's complex, right? Read Simulacra and Simulation by John French guy Beauregard, something like that. That's a really good book. It talks about what I'm talking about. But all right, Epic of Gilgamesh. So Enoch was born in the forest, right? He was wild. He had the beauty of Anu, right? Anu is another god in the pantheon, and he was sent, and he was wild to animals, and a lot of the people that hunted, right? The hunters. The hunting was an art. They had gods to hunting. So one of the hunters went to the city of Urk where Gilgamesh lived, and Gilgamesh was told that there was a beast, that a man of beast that protected the herd, right? He protected the sheep. So let's just say he was a prophet, but animal prophet, right? Like, don't eat the chickens. They're our brothers. He had that powerful insight into understanding that eating a creature is kind of fucking evil, kind of it. It pretty much is a necessary evil, and yeah. I don't want to talk about that shit. Read Malidoma, Patrice of Water and Spirit. That's a really, really good book on this subject. Even though West Africans and his spirituality, they believe in sacrificing chickens, but think about it. It just, KFC does the same thing, but in an assembly line style. Knife goes in, guts come out. Knife goes in, guts come out. Basically, they're like sitting around the chicken, and they're like saying things, and they slice the chicken's throat, and they split for people who are really big into animals, it's beautiful. Don't lose that. Actually, we need more people like you. But gotta understand, chicken tastes pretty good. So if you're gonna eat it, you might as well like pray and say thank you to it, because it's giving its body for you to stay in your life. It's a divine entity. It's not like a piece of shit you could just like consume without regard of its being. But then again, I just eat KFC today, so I can't say that shit's easy, man. But it's a process, right? I'll probably eat it tomorrow or something. I don't know if it's offered to me. I mean, if it died, I might as well give it some purpose. What better purpose is to give me life and energy, Thank you. That's why I always say a little prayer. But Epic of Gilgamesh. That's what I'm just, man. Fuck, I gotta write this shit down. Okay, Epic of Gilgamesh. So Gilgamesh just take one of the harlots, one of the ladies well versed in women arts, right? To sleep with this guy, Inu, right? Or Anu. I forgot his name. But this is like the Luigi character. To sleep with Luigi, And then once the harlot uses her woman arts, and you can read the story because it does a better job at regurgitating the information in a more linear, in a more concrete, in a more understandable. Other than me, I'm talking about like, I just change subjects every like fucking 20 minutes, 20 seconds, But all right. Let me just try to do it in a way where it's more. I won't do any more. Talk about anything else. Okay. So Gilgamesh sent the harlot. The harlot goes to the forest, and the hunters with her, right? And the hunter, her and the hunter, wait for the wild beast, the wild man, right? The man who was the other animals. He protects the other animals. When the hunter traps a hare, he goes and he saves the hare, right? And that's a divine, beautiful thing. But the hunter is like, man, I need to feed my family, right? I want to die. I cannot eat, right? Because people used to hunt for food. They didn't just go to stores. You'd be surprised. A lot of people don't know this. This package of steak. You kind of feel like it's plucking it from a tree. It's like a fruit. But it has a very violent ending. But rest in peace. All right. Okay. So I guess your strength and your weaknesses are tied to one another, so maybe to remember things, but I guess it's balance, you know. I guess it's one of the things people like me have a hard time in society because of the way that we wiggle, and we're told to like sit and focus, which you wish you could, but you're like, you know. But okay, the story. So the trapper and the harlot, or I don't know if I'm using the right word, but basically the woman well versed in woman arts, and they say that in the book. So you have to understand women arts, right? Seduction. That's basically what they mean. Women. See, men fall in love through our eyes, right? So when we see a woman that we're physically attracted to, remember, beauty is in the eye, it's subjective, and it's in the eyes of the beholder. You would not. There's nothing wrong with calling that an art. You know, it's called makeup, beauty, right? That's the woman art. And men have an art too. We have the men art, you know. And transgender have an art too. Hydras, I think that Hydra, the third gender in India, they've been around for thousands of years. So it's not something that is a product of modernity. You know, the third gender in Oaxaca with the indigenous people there. You know, hey, they're really forgotten a lot, you know. LGBTQIA plus questioning. You know, I think it's good to learn every letter because that represents an individual that's an outlier, you know, and we should honor their divinity. So, I was saying, they go into the forest, and the guy, the Luigi character, goes and they just say he has relations with her for 6 days and 7 nights, right? You see, numbers in these stories are really important, right? Don't just think it's an arbitrary number. For 50 days and 2,525 nights, like that, those are arbitrary numbers, right? You have to understand these societies are there's a lot. There's the allegorical aspect of it and the actual historical event. So. And it's covered in veils, and I'm just trying to share you an opinion that I have that I think you could weigh with others and see if there's a little truth in mine, because I don't really hear it told. So yeah, so for 6 days and for 6 days and 7 nights, you know, and then once that sin happened, right? And I'm not using sin in a negative way, but it is a sin. See, isn't it funny how in English we say, "Oh man, that was real bad, man. That's a bad man right there," and it's like a compliment, right? Oh, that guy is cool, you know. Or look at that, man. That was so bad. Be like, what do you mean it's bad? You say it in a good way though, in a good tone. Like, yeah, it's bad, so it's good. Yeah, like, and I heard, I just, you know, I'm just trying. Like I said, I'm trying to make things. Not that Disney's bad, but you know, just like add color to that light, you know. So after they have sex, right? And it's connected to other scriptures. After they commit sin, the guy loses his powers. And think about it. That's very, that means a lot, you know? That his innocence was taken away from him, right? There was something that was connected to him not being a virgin, right? And once you cross that threshold, you start seeing the world with more material eyes, you know. And you know that's true because, you know, when you were little, it should be age appropriate. You shouldn't know these things. It should be taught to you in a very, and this is one of those subjects like controversial, you know. But it should be spoken about. But you know, because those type of things, oh man, I should just talk about the Epic of Gilgamesh. Epic of Gilgamesh. So, when that happened, the animals ran away from him, and he was thinking, why has that happened? You know, I don't understand this. And then, even to that, they don't see the thing is to tell you the stories, but the high priests, the people who these stories were told to and passed down orally, and they were only written as a backup, because a lot of the Torah has musical notations on it. The Vedas was taught to you in a chant, right? Because that's a mnemonic device that people used to use. You could probably remember your favorite song verbatim. You can't remember something else that has melody helps you remember. That's all. It's a mnemonic device. Nothing special. We all have access to that, and it is special. So this is that dichotomy. But so he lost his ability. I'm gonna make it 25 minutes, but maybe hopefully this thing doesn't get cut for whatever reason. The Google does that thing. I rant. But I'm an outlier a little. Okay. So the lady, the harlot, once she performed her women arts, right? There's something wrong with that. Just like we have men art, trans art. Once she performs her women art, he loses his ability to communicate with the animals. The animals run for him. And then she says, now that we have bitten from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, you know, that God wanted, that now that you have bitten from this knowledge, right, that from the sin that we've committed, now your eyes have been opened, you know. And I think it's interesting how the woman is aware of these facts, but not the man. You know, the man is left in ignorance, and he's the second one to discover this. The woman knew it before the man, and just in the Bible, it was Eve who bit the apple before Adam, right? So it's not by chance. You know, our ancestors are trying to teach us something very beautiful, you know, and it's beautiful. Don't think it's not, you know. And he says, "Come with me to Uruk. There's a great man there." And he, you know, and it's complicated because a lot of maybe these colleges that are very smart, they're gonna talk about this literature. They're gonna break it down like, is it okay to rape people? And, you know, they ask you those questions. It's like, it's not okay. Of course, it's not okay. That's why God sent Anuk to balance Gilgamesh, because he was a god. You know, he was remember, he was only 2/3 gods. Maybe it's that 1/3 human that couldn't get over that material, the lustful desire, you know. He wasn't a god. A god would be like, yeah, you don't do that. Don't be a fucking idiot, man, you know. And then smack him. He's acting like a fool, you know, because sometimes males learn that way. Don't beat the shit out of him when he dies, you know, but just like, hey, what the fuck, man? But see, that's the thing. You can't do that kind of love to a stranger, because it's not, the hit's gonna come with nothing with love, you know. But I digress. 25 minutes, so I got 3 minutes. So we're summing it all up. So the whole book basically, it's like this, you know. There's the written version, and then there was the priest that was there. I think there's and a lot of ancient religions, they have the oral tradition, like the Kabbalah, and they have the written tradition, like the Torah, right? Or I picked the random one because that's the one that I remember right now. But every religion, Hinduism has this belief, you know, has a system similar to that, right? Where so I wanted to interpret it in a way where I give you my opinion, right? And I didn't have that privilege and honor, and like I really would have, you know, I really would have loved to have a person with that knowledge, and I know they exist. I've seen them on YouTube, so it's not like something that I hear of, you know, like I share with you this last story, and it's connected in a weird way. I really love chess, but there's no house that I could walk to and play chess. The only place that I saw people playing